Well, good morning. Welcome to the second Town Hall Stakeholder Input Session of the University Strategic Plan Steering Committee, Subcommittee B. This session is intended for faculty, tenure track lecturers, all faculty, as well as administrators in the Academic Affairs Division. This Town Hall meeting is also being video streamed. So hello to anybody who may be out there watching this, and there will be opportunities for those of you who are participating remotely to provide input also through the platform that we're using today, which is today's Meet. Just a little bit of information about the process history, though most of you are probably already familiar with some of this. A University Strategic Plan Steering Committee was appointed in January by the President. And we began a process and the work of dealing with the future of the university in terms of a new strategic plan. Several things have been done since then. One of them is that a website was launched in March, and also that we had we still have actually an online survey where everyone in the community at Cal Poly can provide input. That closed for collection of data on May 9 for a cut of collection of data. However, it will remain open. So if anybody still has not provided input and wishes to go, the link will continue to be active for a while. We divided ourselves in several subcommittees, and we have committees A to E, and therefore subcommittee B, again, is dealing with faculty and administrators in academic affairs. I am the lead of the subcommittee, and I would like to introduce some of the members that have been very loyally and sacrificing their time and participating. Today we're having 9 sessions. We conducted 9 sessions in a span of 2 weeks. So Sepe Skandari, who is the chair of the Academic Senate, Lina Neto, who you all know as the conversion master director. And we've had other members of the committee who are not available to be here with us, but Lina and Sep have been with me at every single one of these sessions pretty much. The subcommittee has used a variety of tools, mostly small discussion groups, and we had one that was more like a focus group, and then the town hall meetings. We have specific sessions with the groups that are listed there that included the Academic Senate, which was our first test for our method. We met with the University Council of Chairs, the Associate Deans, the AVPs in Academic Affairs, the directors of centers that the university has. We also had a session with early career faculty. It's been interesting, actually, that we get different input or different emphasis when we go from one group to the other one, and we get completely new ideas with some of these groups. Anyone can still provide input if after this session or the online survey is not active anymore and you still feel strongly that you want to participate. Strategic plan at CPP.edu, very easy to remember, so you can always send an email at any time. So what is it that we're trying to accomplish today? We first would like to characterize Cal Poly Pomona, where we are in our current state. So this involves hearing about strengths, challenges, and of course areas of opportunity. So we hope to hear through our discussion today your aspirations for the university. We will consider this input. First the subcommittee B, then we'll go to the University Strategic Planning Steering Committee, and analyzing this data will take a while, but the idea is that after that we will be able to determine strategic alternatives for the university. I've highlighted, as you can see, some things in yellow to make it easier to recognize some of those keywords. We want you to be frank and open. Please don't hold back. We will not attribute any comment to you personally. For the participation on today's meet, you can pick a nickname. And also, even though we're going to be typing everything that we discussed today, when you grab the microphone, no names will be attributed to any of the comments. The more information we have, the better the data set. One important clarification that we have had with every single group is that the purpose of this session is not to reach a consensus or agree on anything or solve any problems or anything like that. We may have very different points of view today on what you provide, but the idea is just to take all your input, even if 5 people are talking about completely different things, we will take that forward. So the discussion topics are basically shown in those 4 bullets. Again, I highlighted keywords. And the prompts that we're going to use reflect all of these 4 discussion topics. So areas of strength, of course, of the university, opportunities and challenges, our unique value proposition, and we're also particularly interested in hearing from you about the forces in higher education that are changing the landscape. And that will be very useful for us as we think about the Cal Poly of the future. How do we adjust to that? And then themes of mechanisms that we could use to focus on the alternatives, again, the strategic alternatives, which will be the end result of all this process. So we'll be using today's Meet. You need to select a nickname. You need to use the link. If for any reason you're having a hard time reading the link from the screen, the links are also in the handouts that we gave you today. You can also, if you don't want to use iPhone or an iPad, I believe we had some extra iPads today as well. So if anybody doesn't have one or a phone, you can use the iPads that are available. But if you still don't want to use that kind of technology, we can go back to the old pen and paper. We have pens and sticky notes, and we also have an easel here with a flip chart. So anybody who wants to just write something down, you can do that, and we'll put it over here. We also would like to hear from you. Town hall meetings are important because people would like to express themselves, and everybody wants to hear. So there are microphones on 2 sides of the room, but the members of the committee that are helping today, they will walk around and run to you, because not only they need their exercise, but also it will be a little faster if we go around as opposed to waiting for you to walk to the microphone. We already told you that we're taking everything without identifying anybody by name. So we're going to begin with our first prompt, and this is within areas of strength. What does Cal Poly Pomona do exceptionally well? We're going to allow about 3 minutes on today's Meet. We're going to have the today's Meet on the screen for those 3 minutes, and then we're going to go back to the PowerPoint for the discussion. During the discussion, when people are grabbing the microphone, you can still provide input through today's Meet. We're just not going to see it on the screen. 1 thought per sticky, if you use sticky, so don't write a whole bunch of things in a sticky note, just do 1 thought per sticky. And as many thoughts as you want, anything that you believe Cal Poly Pomona does exceptionally well. Oh, Marisa, is the handout has the updated link, or is it yesterday's link? Today's link in the handout? Okay. No, after the 3 minutes. Oh, I'm going to go now, yeah. All right, yes, I forgot. All right, so now we're going to have 5 minutes of discussion where we would like to hear your thoughts. Again, you can continue to use today's meet all this time if you want to. Yesterday we left it on the screen, but we realized it's too distracting, so that's why we're going back and forth today, so that we can focus more on listening to people and encourage people to participate. So please raise your hand and somebody will come to you with a microphone.
Don't be bashful. You could share that
Yeah,
if you wish.
you can share exactly the same thing you put in there, but we also know that you only type a few words, whereas you can explain your ideas better by grabbing the microphone.
Okay, I guess one thing we do relatively well, I think, is provide opportunity for students that might not have the opportunity otherwise. So like, non-traditional students or first generation, and give them a chance to improve their lives in the world around them. So we're doing well, but we could do better at that, I guess.
Thank you.
Too general? Do you want more specific things?
There's
or?
2 microphones. So.
Okay.
I think affordability and access are other strengths of our university, as well as the active experiential learning that we provide to our students.
All right, thank you. Over there in the back, Seb.
We blend teaching styles and we blend high tech and high touch for kids who like both drama and robotics.
Good. Don't be shy.
I think we're strong in STEM, very strong efforts in STEM.
Still have a few minutes. What do we do exceptionally well?
I think that through lab classes and club activities that the students learn a lot from doing all the projects, and these experiences are highly valued by the employers.
All right. Yes, back here.
I love our horses. And I just love seeing them on the campus. And I've been so sad that they were moved away. We used to be able to see them when we drove onto the campus. They're so important as part of our identity. We call ourselves Broncos. And I hope our horses remain important.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Here and there.
I think we're strong with our small classes and individual
I
attention.
think the
Go ahead.
Okay, small classes, I think, is a very distinctive feature of this university, a strength. And also, I think, opportunities to do some graduate work.
All right, thank you. Just you could grab the microphone a little closer because Marisa needs to hear so she can take the notes.
could the leader of the university, just like the president or vice president, take more opportunity to attend the academic meetings, not just do some administration work? I mean, pay attention to the education, to the research, or to the such kind of thing.
All right, so that's something we do well, okay? Any last thoughts? Phyllis?
I think that because we don't have the same huge pressures to publish and get grants, faculty here have a tremendous opportunity to find ideas that excite them and explore them with their students, that we have a lot more flexibility in that than some universities.
Larissa, or?
Also, the academic community partnerships that we have with our local community organizations, I think they enrich and add value to the communities, but also provide our students with an opportunity for experiential education.
All right. So we've used about the time that we said that we're going to have for the discussion, so we can move on to our next prompt. So of the things that have been described as strengths, or the things that all does exceptionally well, which one of these do we do better than other institutions, and which ones do we do as well? And then when you're telling us your opinion on this, tell us what institutions you're thinking of. Could be other CSUs, could be the UCs, could be private universities. And then what we're going to do is we are going to take input via today's meet, but we're not going to start showing it. We're just going to go directly to the microphone. But you're free to put information to today's meet if you wish, especially those who are watching this remotely. But we will go directly to the microphone. So if you could please raise your hand if you wish to participate on this prompt. Yes.
Well, of course, we can compare ourselves to SLO. And then, so I think SLO does some things better than we do as far as, look at the test scores of the kids going in there. It's amazing. And they have a reputation that distinguishes them from all the other Cal States. So I think we can kind of parlay, we can, take advantage of the fact we're Cal Poly too. And so we can, benefit from their success at getting the top students. But, one of the things we want to do is remain giving access. So I'm thinking about this because my son is a senior in high school. He's applying for colleges. And he didn't get into SLO, but he got in a bunch of other places. But one thing we can do is, as a part of our admissions, maybe we can have them write an essay. One thing about the Cal State system is it's very cut and dry. It's based only on your grades. If you're in an IB program or something, you don't get extra credit for that. So I think SLO gets a bunch of people who are very plain vanilla, but get high GPAs, which is fine for them. But if we don't want to play the same game, what we can do is have them write an essay and look at that to try to get more diversity while we're getting people who still have a lot of potential and have a lot of drive and want to succeed even if they didn't get the highest test score. So we can, we don't do as well as SLO on getting the high test score students. Maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we can do something a little bit different, but still target students who are better than your average Cal State students and provide access to those students by, I think we should have an essay for part of the application for Cal Poly, which we don't have now.
Thank you. Was there somebody else? Oh, Lisa?
I think the experiential learning that our students get here distinguishes us, especially, for example, in my discipline in chemistry, compared to, say, any of the UCs. Our students take more laboratory courses, they handle sophisticated instrumentation, they go into the workforce or graduate school, and they hit the ground running. There's no, I have to train this person on an instrument, blah, 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 and I hear this routinely from employers of our students. And I think that's something we should value and protect.
Thank you. When?
It works the same in urban planning.
Lisa.
The lab courses allow students in the whole LA Basin to, we draw students from the whole LA Basin and then they go do projects in communities all over the basin. The planning program at SLO, they're envious.
Lena.
All they have is farms up there, right?
Lena, here, Craig.
So I think we do a very good job of involving our students in research. And if you compare us to Research One institutions, here those students are interacting with the faculty, with the PIs. At those other institutions, if a student can get in, they're interacting with graduate students. They're not interacting with PIs. And I think that's a real strength that we have.
Sip in the back. Thank you.
I just came from a professor for a day. We invited alumni came to talk, and I'm from the geography program, and he went to Long Beach to do a grad program. So students asked him what's the differences between, what the experience is here and versus over there. And the one thing said, well, take advantage while you're here. Your faculty is really supportive of you. And you have a problem, they're there to support you to solve those problems. And when he got over there, and he said, I worked until like 1 o'clock last night. I got the problem solved. And so I think this is one of the strengths that we have, is that we really have a culture that is supporting the students. I read syllabus, our faculty here prepared versus syllabus that the people just came in first quarter teaching here, I just saw the differences that in terms of student-centered approach versus teacher-centered approach.
Thank you. In the back.
Well, then I'll build off of that. We have the IGE department that does all Socratic dialogue classes in general education, which is something no other Cal State has and draws a lot of kids who don't think they're very good at the humanities. And we've had kids out of that department who've gone on to do internships at Facebook and Google and Apple and always been told that their discussion of these kinds of classes where it's all about them sharing their ideas makes them stand out and look like the employees that are being looked for in the big companies of America right now. And nobody even knows the department exists.
Thank you. Steve?
I got a chance of saying this yesterday, but I think it bears repeating. One of the things that I've noticed from both conversation and then just being on other campuses is that our advising surpasses any university or college that I've seen. We have advising for our students that's not just curricular, but also career. And we have advising centers, but we also have a major part played by the faculty in doing so. And when you talk to people who went to other universities, they just didn't have that. Many of them were lost. They didn't have any guidance and so forth, especially the large universities, the large UCs, the large private universities. You don't see that, and you kind of get that feeling. And one of the things that worries us when we do have graduates that go on to graduate school is that they lose kind of that touch with us because we do some hand-holding, not to the extent they're not independent, but we do guide them better than just about any university I've seen.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts about this? All right, we used almost all of our time anyways. So we're gonna go now to the next prompt, and we're gonna do the same that we did at the beginning, where we're gonna go for 3 minutes on the page for today's meet, and then we'll hear your thoughts. So what are some of the concerns you have or challenges that you think that the university faces, either in your own experience or what you hear from peers? Oh, no, this is not today's. You didn't change them, Marisa. This is it. Thank you so much. All right, so we are going to allow about 7 minutes for discussion of this. This tends to be one of those areas where people usually really like to be heard. So we thought maybe a couple of extra minutes, but let's see how it goes. Again, you can continue to provide input via today's meet, but we would like to focus on the discussion right now here. So please raise your hand and we'll, all right.
I've got a really simple pet peeve is when we move to semesters, we have the new 4-digit numbers, and it was some places put the new number at the front, some people put it at the back. It's creating a lot of unnecessary confusion. It would just be really great if we had some kind of direction to say either put the new number at the front or the new number at the back. You know, like whether 201 becomes 2201 or becomes 2011. You know, that's my little pet peeve.
Bruce, let's talk later.
Okay.
I can comment on.
Could you explain a little bit about the numbers? I didn't
The numbers,
get...
okay, different colleges and different departments, so they added the number either at the front or the back. So 201, in some schools became
Course numbers.
2201. Course numbers became
I see.
2201. Other places it became 2011. And it's created a lot of confusion, as I kind of suspected it would. So, yeah. And then we've gotten emails about your number is, you're using a number that's reserved for certain types of classes and you can't use that number. I think part of the reason we've had this kind of problem and unnecessary extra work is just because it wasn't decided at the beginning whether, has it been decided, Sep?
Yes.
Okay. Is it the beginning or the end?
We can talk
Okay.
offline.
Sorry.
Yes.
All right.
Oh, why I did it, but we still have it in the front. Okay.
We'll talk about it later. Again, we're not solving it today, but
Oh, yeah, sorry.
thank you for the input, though. Oh, I thought somebody else had raised their hands. Larissa here, here in the front.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the lack of hiring of tenure-track faculty, especially with regard to when departments are growing. And the
We
need-
can't hear you well, so if you could
I'm
just
sorry.
put it closer to you. Yeah.
I have a concern about the lack of hiring enough tenure-track faculty, particularly when there are departments that are growing substantially. And sort of connected to the same issue, I have a concern about the explosion of part-time faculty. That seems to be the policy instead of hiring enough tenured people.
Larissa?
I think the increased competition for high-achieving students from other campuses, particularly UCs, in STEM fields is one of the challenges. Unpredictable funding from the state is yet another challenge. And then the use of technology, I think, to enable the academic mission and organizational effectiveness that other campuses exhibit that we are yet to move forward to. It's currently, I think, is another challenge for us. The use of technology, increased use of technology to enable our academic mission and organizational effectiveness.
Thank you. Please raise your hand. Others? Lisa?
Okay, I'm just going to echo what Alan said. Lack of adequate tenure track numbers on our campus. This is, as a scheduler, this, having so many part-time people, I can only imagine the nightmare it is in math. I am held hostage when I schedule based on these people's availability. And that makes a chair's job or a scheduler's job very stressful, to say the least. It also endangers, not having enough tenure track faculty endangers that experiential, hands-on, face-to-face learning that our students say that they really like about Cal Poly. To have a faculty member in the lab and not a TA and not a part-time person who's a freeway flyer. No offense to part-time people, but someone who is engaged in scholarship here, who does research with students. I mean, that makes us very special. Like, goes back to what Steve said. I think as a university, we really need to think about protecting that. It comes with a cost, but we have to figure out some way to absorb that cost or find funds to allow us to continue to do that. Otherwise, we become just a regular old comprehensive university, and I personally don't want to see that.
Steve?
So one of the things that we're seeing impacting us now, really, which I think is going to get even worse, is really space and our lack of space. I'll echo what Alan and Lisa said. We need more tenure track faculty, but when they show up, we find ourselves lacking the space, the lab space, the office space, the teaching space, and so forth. And we've brought this up to the leadership before, and it turns out it's just a matter of finances, but I don't know that we have the alumni base to overcome that. So I think that's a real concern going forward.
I hear you. When And then Didi. Stevie, you could pass the microphone to Didi. That would be great. Thank you. All right, thanks.
It has to be said one more time, more tenure track faculty. And another thing related to that is, I think, budget-wise, is the proliferation of administrators, some of whom are making more work for the rest of the tenure track faculty. In our conversion process, we've had some administrators basically trying to wordsmith some of our documents, which they're just making work for themselves and us.
Didi?
I think this has been touched on, but I'm concerned about probationary faculty, new faculty, who still expect to be at a university where they can actually do research and scholarly publications and creative work. And they get here, and thank God we have in the contract some assistance for them, which is in the form of reassignment. But they quickly find that it's very, very difficult to do anything besides teaching. And I'm afraid that's going to be exacerbated when we're in the semester format. Our compensation is based on 15 WTUs, and as we all know, 12 of those are teaching, and the other ones are service. And where is research in there? We need to have some formal recognition of the research that people do, apart from what is required of them in RTP, which is a pretty heavy recognition of it, but they don't have any space for it in their daily schedule. So I think that's a very serious challenge that we're facing, and we already lose bright new faculty who decide they don't want to come here because they don't make enough money, or when they get here, they find they can't do the work that they intended to do when they were in graduate school. So it's a threat to the tenure track system as much as the lack of enthusiasm for it on the part of the administration hiring program.
Thank you.
Craig,
we have two ahead of you. So go ahead. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Did you see another hand?
Yeah, it's Craig. That's what I was telling Craig. There's
Lynn,
two people.
Phyllis, and then Craig.
So I think there's enough comments made for the tenure track lines, and definitely we need to make that. I'm working on the fall quarter schedule, and I just have lines of classes that couldn't be filled because our part-time faculty members comes and go, and the good ones get full-time jobs, and then now you're recruiting, and then you're trying to find, people can step in the classroom. This quarter we find the one, and halfway couldn't continue. So 2 of the full-time faculty members, include me, myself, and step into the class to finish the quarter. So along these lines, I was then teaching that class 60 students in a library classroom. It's a relatively new classroom. But the only thing I can do is project the things to the screen and talk. And this is a freshman class. And if there's other things that are around that I could do a lot more interactive activities, but I basically limited it to talk. So I think we need to have more classrooms and better equip the classrooms to fit the things that we can do today.
Thank you. Felix, I added a little bit of time, but please try to keep your participation to 1 minute or less. Thank you.
Okay, so in line with the concern about teaching, I'm also concerned by what I see as the explosion of service, because as the fraction of tenure lines goes down, the impact is also that as we have more and more programs which require faculty members on committees or selection committees or strategic planning committees or whatever, that's becoming much more, I think, for many people than the 3 units of expected time. That it just seems like service is expanding kind of like hot air here.
Thank you. Craig?
So this discussion of tenure track versus temporary lecturers, I think is something that really needs to be studied carefully. I know many departments are overwhelmed with lecturers. Other departments not so much. I think if we were to imagine a situation where we had only tenure track faculty, like Didi was mentioning, I think that would be a serious challenge to all faculty in terms of their ability to do research. We can have our temporary faculty teach much more in a full-time setting than our tenure track faculty. So I think we need to, maybe for each department, carefully study what is the ideal ratio between tenure track and lecturers. I don't think we'll ever get away from lecturers given the growth of our programs in recent times.
Thank you. Let me just add one comment by myself here, which is the fact that regardless of what we do, we will always need lecturers, because if people get release time, I can tell you that as a department chair, so I have to find somebody to teach those classes, so the lecturers are much appreciated and we will always need them. And tell you, I'm very thankful of the lecturers we have. In the back?
Just to clarify language, not all the good teachers get full-time jobs, so let's be careful of our adjectives. Second of all, I love to get money for research, considering I'm a lecturer who teaches at 3 different universities and has published a book this year, co-edited a 4-volume encyclopedia, and been published in 2 scholarly journals. So the idea that people can't get time for their research is fascinating to me.
All right, anybody else? All right, we ran out of time anyway, so we're going to move now to the next prompt. Another one that's fun and interesting because it gives you a lot of freedom, at least in your mind. If you could change one thing about Cal Poly Pomona, what would it be and why? And it's only one thing, so we're gonna put today's meet, and then we can hear for about 5 minutes what people would like to say about this. Thank you. Just go back to the... All right, we'll allow about 5 minutes for any of you who want to share your thoughts.
I want to let all of the students live in campus and focus their energy on the study, not so much part-time job or driving.
All right. Gwen?
My online comment got mangled by autocorrect. I would like a one-year or a moratorium on building parking structures and a one-year multidisciplinary research project involving all colleges to develop plans for other ways for people to have access to Cal Poly.
Other thoughts? What would be that one thing you would change if you could? Steve?
I think I've heard several people say in the past, both on the federal level and down to our level, that if you let me see your budget, I can tell you what your priorities are. And I think, I appreciate this process and everything. I wish there was some input on that, because I think if we, and that's the comment I put, if we shifted some of the budget to more of what we said today, which is faculty, which is temporary or tenure track or adjunct, it'll fix a lot of the resource problems here. But it has to be at that budget level. That's what I would change.
Aligning budget with priorities. Right. Any other thoughts? Well, we spent some extra time in the last one, so okay, Didi, go ahead.
I just have a philosophical comment about the meaning of a university. It seems to me that the word universe is embedded in there, and it means that when a student comes here, they get to live in the universe of knowledge and get to have their pick of learning about all sorts of different things. However, some of the messages that we hear about academic programs on our campus have to do with feeding the strong ones and starving the weak ones, so that universe of ideas would be sharply reduced if the weak ones expire. At the same time, it seems to me that the management, present company accepted, of course, embrace the idea that they should do all things that are possible in an educational institution all the time, which is why they have so many managers and why that number keeps growing and why it keeps generating more service work for whatever tenure track faculty exist. So it's a kind of schizoid vision of what we should be doing here. And if we could find a common ground between those extremes of reducing programs and growing management, it would be a good thing on the whole, I believe.
Thank you, Dee. Were there any other hands up? All right, like I said, we allowed a little time, so we used almost all of our time anyways. So, all right, what does it mean to you to be at a Polytechnic University? And this is not, we're not asking you for a definition of Polytechnic, we're asking you what does it mean to you personally to be at a Polytechnic University. So we'll do the same routine, and then we'll listen to you. We'll do a couple minutes on the today's meet. All right, so we'll start the discussion. Anybody wants to share thoughts on this one? What does it mean to you to be at a Polytechnic University? And again, it's the same that you provided there, but we know we're more limited when we write, so you can expand a little bit more.
Sep talked me into it. So for me, it means that in my courses, I try to focus on the latest technical methodologies in my field.
All right, Phyllis?
So I think that not just for my field, but for every field, it means that we're not just a place that focuses on the theory and the current ideas or things like that, but that we focus on the practice of that discipline, whatever that means, and that we have a strong concentration on how those theories and ideas are applied.
Thank you. Steve?
So when I look at the word polytechnic, to me that's many techniques. And so what I start to think is project-based learning, because that's what it requires. It requires many skills from experimental design to data analysis to your mastery of the English language and everything to get that project done. And so I think that's what it brings together, those many techniques, those many skills.
Thank you. In the front, Alan?
To me, it means that our students get good paying jobs and careers in technical areas after they graduate. So I think if we're a Polytechnic school, that should follow.
Didi?
Thanks. I have two peeves about this. The first one is that some people, not necessarily anybody here, but I have heard people express the idea that Polytechnic means a list of disciplines. So that there are some disciplines that cannot be Polytechnic or cannot participate in a Polytechnic idea. And so far as I'm concerned, although there might be some disciplines like philosophy that seem to people to be heavily theoretical and oriented towards the literature and not towards a practice, our philosophy department is Polytechnic, and they do a lot of applied stuff. And that is also true of most of the departments in my college of class. The second peeve is that Polytechnic universities and the students at them require less general education than other students at liberal arts institutions, et cetera, or big institutions like UC's. And I don't think that should be true either. It may be more important for those students to have a broad and deep general education than for students who are going to be at a liberal arts school where they have a couple of years of exposure to a broad curriculum before they even go into their major.
Thanks, Didi. Anyone else? All right, so we will continue with our next prompt that has to do with the same topic, really, which is what is the value of Polytechnic universities in higher education, and how do you see that changing going forward? For this one, we will do discussion directly, but you can continue to provide input via today's meet, especially those who are watching remotely. So we will just start with the discussion. Please raise your hand, and we'll pass the microphone.
I just want to piggy off of what Didi just said, and it means that students come out of our university well-rounded, that they do have both the technical, scientific experience as well as the very rich humanities and social studies experience as they come out of here. So they're well-rounded students ready to take on whatever comes.
Yes, the mic already.
Yeah, I hate to be really mercenary about it, but I'm an economics professor, so we look at dollars a lot. So I think making it so that our students can get good jobs is really crucial. And I think one thing to look at is the way the schools are being ranked now. You may have seen some of the new rankings that came out of the Obama administration where they looked at how much the schools increase the pay of the students that enter. So if you had characteristics that would have led you to a low-paying job, but you go to Cal Poly and you wind up getting a high-paying job, you get ranked really high. So you have like Cal State Bakersfield gets ranked really high. I'm not sure how exactly they do the metrics of it, but I think that's one of the things is getting good jobs for our students. And you may, that doesn't have to conflict with providing them a good broad background. In fact, it goes together with that. And schools are being more and more ranked on this. And I know that, again, having a son going to college, it seems that those schools that have reputations for increasing the pay or having high-paid graduates are getting more and more attention, are becoming more and more difficult to enter. So I guess we have a relative advantage compared to some of the other Cal States in this respect, I think.
Thank you. Remember that this is a two-part question. One is about the value, and the other one is, do you see that changing as we move forward?
I think the value of polytechnic universities is going to keep increasing. As I see it, Common Core has been implanted in the state, and I see changes in the education of my kids, and I see how they are more hands-on experiments and hands-on projects being done right now with them. So I see that this is going to be changing forward to the university because students going to have the expectation that we're doing more experiments, more hands-on stuff in the classroom rather than just lecturing. And since we are at this time, you know, a polytechnic university, I think we should be improving on that to be ready to accept those new students in the future.
Thank you. In the back, Seb.
Hi, I just want to tag on to what Didi and Hinda have also said, that I don't know the value of a polytechnic education unless it also includes the kind of rich and deep generalist background and education we've been talking about to help our students, no matter what job they're getting or what the job pay is, to really engage what are increasingly global crises around the world, of environmental crises, economic justice crises, and so forth. Unless our students are prepared to really engage those issues in an ethical way, then I'm not sure what the value of a polytechnic education is. Thank you.
Thank you. Other thoughts?
I guess just one more little quick thing is to realize that we have to teach them for a changing world, is that, you know, the skills they learn now are going to be different skills and they're going to be using 20 years from now. So we give them an education which can be adapt to a changing world. You know, now you think about people who do computer science, I remember cards, doing programming with the cards. And of course, people learned how to punch cards, had to change quite a bit. So I think that we have to give them an education that's able to allow them to adapt to a changing world.
I'd like to add to that, much of the changing world is caused by technology. So I agree we need to be a generalist, but the students need to be aware of how technology functions and how it brings about the changes in the world, so that in the future we can better respond to it. The ethical use of technology, how does technology bring other impacts to our world? And I don't see that really being focused more comprehensively in the university. It's being siloed, but I prefer to see a more overall view of that discussion. And to me, that's part of the strength and the values of being polytechnic.
Thank you. Phyllis?
So to follow on with that idea, I think that the value of a broad general education plus some depth in a particular discipline is really important. And I think that one of the challenges and the things that's changing is that when I came here, the program that I teach in was 202 units. I've seen increasing pressure from the legislature to decrease those units. And I think there's a real conflict between being able to produce the same level of discipline-specific competency that's needed, and at the same time the breadth of education. And I think that pressure is going to continue, and I think it's very critical that we understand how to plan for that.
Thank you. Other ideas? Yes.
I think lifelong learners and prepare students for critical thinking and problem solvers is very important. And drawing from one of the professors for a day's speech today was that we're in a very technical program, and what they said is that what you learn, those technical skills could be outdated very soon, but what they learned here, a very broad foundation and analytical thinking and problem solving skills really sustain them through the time.
All right. Other thoughts? All right. We're good to go to the next one then. Continuing to think about higher education now in more broadly, what do you think will be the biggest difference in higher ed compared to today in 2 years or more? We will do the same thing. We'll just go directly to discussion with microphones, but anybody can continue to provide input through today's meet. So please raise your hands and we'll pass the microphone.
I'm getting reports that today's meet isn't working.
Oh.
While we're waiting for that, we can have some verbal comments.
Let me just take a quick
Bruce,
look.
the sure hit.
Well, I guess we've seen an increase in online education, so that trend might continue. I'm just hoping that it can be either for better or for worse. So I'm hoping that more and more online instruction is for better and not worse.
Phyllis.
I think I see a certain fragmentation in education, that we're seeing increasing resources diverted to junior colleges, and I'm concerned that the CSU will become a junior and up institutions. And then I'm also seeing that there are more and more specific skill certificates that are coming up, some of them online, that are more and more important for very specific job application situations. And so I think it's more and more important for us to understand the importance of the interpersonal interaction that we offer and how to maximize the value of that.
Thanks, Felix. Other thoughts? And then
Angela, then
Steve.
More and more students getting their knowledge from online. The knowledge base is not vetted. They're Googling everywhere. The retention of knowledge is no longer in their head. It lies within Google. At least that's how I see it in my own classes. The threads, there's no common thread in learning anymore. The process becomes more and more random in the student's head, and they're becoming more fragmented. And as that continues, I think it is important us as teachers, instructors, to start providing a guided framework to guide the students. I hate to say it, but we are now becoming kindergarten teachers, that we need to teach them how to learn, I think, to a certain different perspective. At least that's how I'm beginning to see it from my department and also from my own experience.
Thank you, Angela. Steve?
I think part of this goes back to the budget. Historically, we've been budgeted with a number of students, and I think the grumblings from Sacramento is that that's going to go to graduation and retention. Because if your retention is low, but you're budgeted for a number of students, all you do is recruit more freshmen and transfers. And there's a lot of grumbling saying that that won't be the case in the future. So I think that's going to change the way we see things here.
Alan in the front.
Okay, better? Okay, thanks. I think there'll be more interdisciplinary kind of student activity. Already, when a math major gets out, he or she finds it easier to get a job if they know how to program, okay? And sometimes there's a requirement for statistics. And even our valedictorian in the College of Science this year is a double major with economics. And I think the job requirements, even in business, are more mathematical and more computers than it's been before. So I think there'll be more interdisciplinary student activity. And they'll go where they have to go.
Thank you. Other hands? Other participation?
I think along these lines that the divisions between different majors become less and less clearly divided as in the past, as students change their jobs and getting prepared. So I think the fundamental preparations becomes more and more important.
All right, we've almost, by 10 seconds, we've reached the time that we allowed, so I don't see any other hands, and we'll continue to move to the next one. This is a really fun and interesting question. We all got a raise recently, so you were in a position to donate $10 million to the university. What is the one thing that you would want to see that gift applied to, and why? Now, keep in mind, again, even though this is an imaginary activity, you think about the fact that that money was, you appreciate that money was hard for you to earn that money, so you wanted to go to something that's very meaningful to you. Also, don't be limited, please, by the amount. If you think you could be that rich that you could donate 100 million instead of 10 and you have a bigger project, go ahead and don't be limited by that. Thank you. We'll do the 3 minutes and then we'll go back to the discussion.
Let me very quickly mention that we have an iPad here. If you're having difficulties, I can pass this iPad around for you to input your comments. If you need that, please raise your hand. Anybody else need an iPad?
If you arrive late, we also mentioned that we have paper and pens and paper. If you want to write your thoughts on a sticky note, just raise your hand, and there's sticky notes and pens in here, and we'll just take them onto the easel flip charts. Remember, the question also says why, so please remember to put a justification. If it's too much to write, then you'll have an opportunity to grab the mic. Oh, right now? They're getting stuck? Huh. All right. Seb has suggested that we go to the discussion right away. Hopefully that little glitch with the platform will be solved. Sometimes that happens. It might be the internet connection or the website, maybe a little slow. So why don't we start hearing people? Please tell us, what would you do if you could donate that money, what you wanted to go to, and why? And this is actually a really fun part of this exercise because it's interesting to see all the ideas people have. And more positive than all, focusing on all the problems we have right now. So Lisa?
Did you mention they shouldn't limit themselves to $10 million?
No, I said, yeah, any amount.
10 million. This is really self-serving because if I had my choice, I would have all new organic chemistry laboratories built. Ones that have drains in the floor, safety showers, eye washes, and adequate hood space for the students so I don't have to smell the chemicals constantly. Because we've actually been having problems with students getting sick from the fumes. And this is an ongoing problem, and I know other Cal States have gotten the money to renovate their lab spaces from their own administration. But that's an aside. The other thing I would like to see is an interdisciplinary laboratory studio complex built where it would bring together people from disparate disciplines to do lab or studio project-based learning for our students, both in the classroom and in research. Because I think one of the things is we're so isolated on campus, discipline-wise. I mean, to collaborate with engineers, I mean, they're in Building 9, and it still presents a problem. But to bring us together, where we're forced to meet and talk in the hallway, actually good things happen from that. So.
Anyone else?
Come on, we want to hear. Phyllis?
So I want to very strongly agree with Lisa that I think the campus, it's a very beautiful place and it's got a lot of open space, but one of the disadvantages of that is that we don't encounter each other enough. There aren't enough opportunities and places for faculty to get together easily and just sit and talk. You know, I think Lisa's comment about, you know, people and students and faculty encountering each other in places where they can have that casual conversation that leads to an idea. And I think the campus is really lacking that. And it needs to be someplace that's central enough so that it's accessible and people will drop in and have those experiences. And I think that having a place like that to support that kind of conversation and casual meeting would really, really, really change the culture of collaboration on campus.
In many of the companies I have visited, Google and so forth, that place usually centers around food. I'm Chinese, so what do you expect me to talk about? And the food is usually catered and free and very healthy. Okay, and also with sleeping pods like Google, you know. It needs to be a place where we can all relax and have a good time, not go there and argue and debate, right? Because right now, I think I see my colleagues at Senate meetings, this other meetings, and where we bend for 5 minutes and then talk about ideas and everybody go away. So I agree with everybody. If I have $10 million, I want to have a state-of-the-art building where it has all the nice comfies with showers and all the luxuries and stuff, where everybody can, this is a dream world, right? Where we have $1 million conference room where we can meet anybody around the world virtually, you know, bring on by holograms and so forth and collaborate. Laboratories, you know, food catered. I want all the amenities in the world, of course, but this is a dream.
And you would be personally funding this,
I see a lot of smiling faces. I think many people are liking that idea.
If I have $10 million, I would fund it.
I'm hoping you get that money somehow.
Thank you.
And for the record, we never argue in the Senate.
I wanted to have a new building for class with state-of-the-art of laboratories and classrooms and faculty offices.
Alan, in the front. Sep.
If I had a lot of money and it was for me to decide how to spend it at Cal Poly, I would, again, go back and try to hire more qualified tenure-track faculty members. I would want facilities for them to be in, good labs, good buildings, good offices. And then the third prong would be good salaries, not just for the newly hired, but for everyone around, because that helps your standard of living and your morale.
Other thoughts? You see somebody say? Nope.
So I think if I have this amount of money, I'll put it in the bank, get the interest, and suppose we make 5% every year, use the interest. I think we should hire more quality people, high quality people with more compensation. And I think we need to raise the standard in research, raise the standard in teaching, encourage people to do innovative teaching, encourage people to do high quality research. That's how I will spend money.
Thank you. We've exhausted the time, and we finally, this is our last prompt. Anything you were hoping we would discuss, but we did not discuss. And again, hopefully today's meet is working again. You can provide input that way, but we also want to hear you right away. We're not gonna wait to look at today's meet, so please raise your hand and grab a microphone. Anything, Phyllis, anything that you were hoping we would discuss?
So one of the things that I think is an opportunity for this campus as a Polytechnic campus is better public opportunities for public-private partnerships. And excuse me, in particular, ways to bring in people on short-term appointments from the industry, from the community, from government to interact with our faculty and students.
Thank you.
Yeah, another thing that just kind of dovetails with extra money. An issue I'm dealing with, a really micro, small issue, is summer classes being canceled. I have 2 classes that have 12 students each, and before I've canceled classes in the past. And it's bad because our students depend on the summer classes. A lot of them are majors, and some of them need these classes to graduate. And I've been told to cancel them because they have 12 students in 2 of the classes. So it would be nice if we could somehow offer more certainty to our students in the summer, and maybe offer smaller classes or create more certainty for them too when they're going to be enrolling for both the students and the faculty.
Thank you. UJ?
I hope through the strategic planning, this will be a good opportunity to permanently address the equity issue among many faculty members. I see many of my colleagues, they work so hard for 10 years, and then also their salary is about the same as a newcomer. So that's unfair. We need a fair environment.
Salary equity, okay. Other thoughts? This is your opportunity. Anything else that we didn't talk? Bring it up.
I'd like to use this opportunity to clarify a little bit earlier my comment about a part-time faculty member. We have 70% of part-time faculty members in our department, and I do appreciate as department chair every one of them. And then the comment is regarding exactly the compensations and the opportunities provided to part-time faculty members. So many of them couldn't stay, and so so they move on in those processes. So it's not that I don't appreciate the part-time faculty member, I do. But I hope there's better support and more full-time faculty members, a better balance, and the better support for part-time faculty members.
Did you say 70? 70?
70. 70%.
70%.
Yeah, 70%.
70%.
Yeah.
That's a very high.
Is that FTE, yes, or headcount?
Larissa?
Yes. FTE, yes.
Anybody else who raised their hand? Did you? Okay. Any other thoughts? This is the very last prompt. Last call. All right. On behalf of the Subcommittee B, thank you so much for attending the meeting, and those of you who participated remotely for your participation via today's meet. Remember, again, there's an address if you have any other thoughts or comments throughout the whole process, strategicplan@cpp.edu. Thank you very much.